Today, I'm going to shed some light on three misconceptions about learning styles and how we should incorporate them in the way that we teach so that our kids are excited about learning. The first one is that we only have one learning styles. We have to look at learning styles like personality traits. We do have some dominant ones, but we kind of touch on a little bit of all of them. I work with 6 learning styles. So yes, most of the time we'll have about 2 that are our dominant ones. And then the other ones are kind of there, but they're kind of in the background. So that is one of the biggest misconception is that we only have one. If you find out that I'm a visual learner, then all you're doing is visual, 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 visual. It's not actually enough to get my brain stimulated to learn more or to want to learn more. So that is the first misconception. You have to integrate all of the learning styles into your lessons because it will kind of catch our attention depending on the day that we're having and whatever mental state we are on that day. The second misconception is that in order to be able to incorporate the learning styles, we have to make one lesson plan per learning style. So like I mentioned earlier, I do work with 6 learning styles. It doesn't mean that you have to do 6 separate lessons to incorporate all of the learning styles. You only need to make one, but you put all of your learning styles in it. So you add some visual elements, you add some music in the background, very soft, or some sound effects, or any kind of sound for your auditory learners. Get some movement involved for your kinesthetic learners. Now, of course, when it comes to solitary learners, you can't always have them work by themselves, even though they want to. We do have to teach them that in real life, you're going to have to step out of your shell once in a while and collaborate with others, learn how to problem solve with others. So it is important to include them in group work. And it's the same for your social worker. Doesn't mean that they always have to be with a group. It is important for them to learn to kind of take some downtime to recharge their batteries as well. Even though they have a lot of energy, they need that downtime as well to self-regulate. So you can't always incorporate a solo work or individual work in all of your lessons, but spread it out throughout the day. So you do have some times where your solitary learners can enjoy some alone time. Work it out towards the end of a lesson or towards the end of a class so that everybody can kind of calm down. It gives us time as the teachers or the parents to kind of prepare for the next lesson or to kind of wrap up the rest of the lesson. It also gives time for students to come up to us and ask questions if they need a little bit more support. So incorporate that in them in your group work. It's the same. You don't do it at every lesson, but you do allow them sometimes throughout the day to be a little bit more social so that your social learners are more interested in what they're learning. The third misconception we have about learning styles is that we always have the same learning style throughout our life. Sometimes it can be true, but like I mentioned earlier, we have dominant learning styles and then secondary learning styles. And these will change throughout our lives depending on the experiences we live throughout our lives, depending on what kind of education we seek out after school, if we do. It also depends on the job positions that you have. So we'll be put into situations where we learn to adapt our learning style according to our environment. But by understanding what our dominant learning styles are, it's a lot easier to make things easier for us. So this one other big misconception is that if you're a visual learner, you will always be a visual learner, although it probably is true. A lot of times you may find that music or sounds may help you retain more information, or when you were maybe a solitary learner when you were a child, and as you developed into an adult, you found yourself being a little bit more social, or vice versa. Maybe you were very, very social and now you just don't want to deal with people anymore. So it does vary. It doesn't mean that you're a certain type of learner in your younger years that you will be the same in your older years. So those are the ones that I am going to leave you with today. I invite you to check out my YouTube channel. In the Teacher's Corner playlist, you will find I go through all 6 learning styles and how you can incorporate them into your teachings, how you can accommodate your classroom or your home to encourage and motivate children to want to learn. And also mention in chapter 2 of my book, Bringing Up the World, you will find a lot more information on how you can detect from infancy what type of learning style your child has. I hope this helped. Until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.